Last summer, we saw a world that wasn't safe to sit in. This winter, journey with us as we see, learn it, or return it.
Penguins. Hello everyone, and thank you for choosing this review. What we're going to be covering is Learn It or Return It. And that's going to be a segment that goes into the case of having an unboxing and assembly, which is day one's review, which is very simple. You just kind of read off what's going to be as what the manufacturer is saying. But what are the long-term effects? Anyone can rock in a chair and say there's a tensioner on the bottom of it and call that a review. But we're going to want to go into the long-term effects. Is this chair holding up? Or is it like its companion to the right falling apart? Or does it hold the financial structure, if you can afford it, the DX Racer that holds through time? So we're gonna go ahead and go through time and digest between the three different chairs and show the review of how this chair is holding up, that you can conveniently get $30 off now till December 2nd at Costco. Fun fact is this seems to be their exact chair that they have listed there from Insight, the gaming chair, which is a true wellness 3D chair, which the 3D is your basic bark on the back, which we'll be showing a little bit more up close and personal. Now, with taking all the modifications off that I had, it's still comfortable. I put those on just because it's a little bit more comfy in the longevity of like holding stuff inside of there, but the 3D support that it gives your back, which is really, really nice. And there is a nice little insight that you can see directly inside of the back where you can put just something in just a space there and sometimes even feel a little bit more comfortable. Now, simple functional facts that this chair has. A, you have 4 steps that you can go up and down with variations that you can go left to right. So you can basically have those. You have your swivels that go left to right. On top of that, you have the right switch, which will let you down, as well as your left switch, which will engage the lock inside of this, which you can lean back and have full control. Now, there's a multifunctional turner on the bottom, which I would suggest turning it all the way down to the bottom, and then having the more easiest setting, then adding more tension, because you don't want it to have it no tension, because then it'll put it all on the gear in the back of there, and when you kind of rest into place too fast, sometimes you could knock it out of place, which I have noticed that this chair, if you jump into it, because one time I almost fell, but I fell right into the chair perfectly, it did kind of lock into place, and I was like, uh-oh, but it went right back into like a nice snapping place, and I was okay. So I didn't have to go visit the Costco return line, unfortunately, because of my own learn it or return it. It's a durable chair. It's very good in that situation. They're using contexturable points that are the same kind of looking leather patterns as you're looking at like our DX Racer. One thing to point out that's actually very important is when you're leaning back inside of here, this is probably the easiest setting to let it just kind of have its functionality of just kind of like in its neutral, versus if you go like this, if you're just wanting to have something to relax and not have to put that and just kind of go into it, it's good, but there's only really one setting because you can't go anything past that. If you go to go lock it into a topper setting, it'll lock you into that middle setting, and that's the difference versus what you have with your DX Racer is, where the luxury of being able to do this. You can kind of have your luxurious point of doing to lock into a place, so you can kind of like so much more multiple function abilities. And on top of that, when you actually do get that locked into place, there's another switch where you can lean your back almost like an actual car seat, so you can actually see the functionality of having a little bit more to the luxury of paying more versus what you're getting with the DSP. The DSP is great. The functionality of having that comfortability, and in fact, I actually utilize it for my main streaming rig. But coming back to this, I do find that there are certain memory foam points, and the reason why I'm utilizing actual modifications inside of there to keep it in the longevity versus having it in the long right term, if it's falling apart long term. But they're having hard plastic seeming like the better portions. It's not like an actual like office chair type situation where it falls apart. This is actually a great bargain. If we're going to the end result of the review of looking at the 2 months later, it's holding up. it's just as comfortable without the modifications. It may creak a little bit, so if you're streaming, you may want to like look at more of like maybe upgrading the wheels if you have harder floors, kind of like a softer portion of it, so you can kind of do. But every so often you will have a creak kind of going like this. You kind of hear it from side to side, so be careful with that one. For as far as that, it does hold up to about, from what it was rated on the side of the box, at least about 300 pounds at maximum. So it did have some back bar technology. I did know that a lot of people like the bottom of the review of the assembly and the unboxing of the very first video that I did that you can check out. I'll put a link at the very end of the video so you can see that if you purchase this on top of the review. Getting this, I got your back too on that situation. But looking at the longevity of this, I can honestly say this chair probably will last. If not, you definitely do have it from like a Costco standpoint that will get your back if it lives underneath the warranty. So they usually honor up until the manufacturer's warranty. So whatever that warranty is, they're gonna like hold true with that. But knowing this chair versus this chair, which is my DX Racer, which is just built forever, and the chair behind me, which unfortunately is definitely going to the graveyard nowadays, as it just gets kicked to the curb, and you can see in the chair picture in the very top right, it's just seen better days for as far as that, where you can see that the pleather looking leather is peeling off, and that the cushioned bottom is like pretty much almost, you can feel like the screws in there, like one of these are kind of coming off, and just it's not as a nice feeling. Now it is nice on the broader portion of the shoulders. That was like kind of nice. One thing I do want to wish that they had a little bit more like backing, like right here, like as it had nice on that 3D scope. It would be kind of nice if it caught your back a little bit right there. So that's why I kind of got the other modification, so it kind of brings you up right here. So when you're like streaming or playing games, you're like more of like an at ready standpoint of what's going down. But that's my honest review. I think that for $130 right now, that's an insanely good bargain for anyone for a Christmas gift or holiday gift in that general standpoint. And then if you're looking for something more like long term, like this chair probably would last for probably a good 3 to 4 years before you'd really have to start looking into like another like turnaround point. Maybe at the low end too, because like when I saw the other chair in the background start falling apart, it was roughly around like the 3-year mark going on to the 4-year mark. So I'd like to say that this like chair would probably exceed that a little bit, just because it seems like it's built really tough. But other than that, thank you so much for spending time with the network. I appreciate yourself and journeying into with this run as we looked at the chair and saw some of the oversights and some of the pros and cons of what would be going. Now, one thing I did notice that they kind of point out too is like when you lean back, that like when you do have it in the locked mode, because you can't go like this, but when you do have it in that locked mode, there's roughly about maybe about like 1/4 of an inch of play, but it doesn't make any like noise past that. But that's where you want to be careful and have that tension around there, because if you lean back too fast, you might snap it into like that like cog lock that I've had it do before. And if so, just very gently kind of like go the opposite way of you put it into, and it should pop right into it. Just be gentle. I wouldn't say like you don't want to break it, just don't force it. But great chair. I really want to get down to the point now for the modifications, now that we've gotten out of the review. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things. I went ahead and rigged back the seat up again, and now I've understood why I put all the modifications on there, because it feels so nice and you can just lean back. And I've left one off that we'll be putting on together, which is the sleeve booties that we have right here at that situation, which you can put directly over here, slip on, and those are kind of nice because it's like that hard plastic, though you do want to make sure that you can take them off and kind of like get like nice cleaning points sometimes. As being a gamer, and it's like Velcro straps and a nice little strip that goes directly over it, so you can see those. But let's go ahead and take a look at the other ones that are there as well. Now you have a backrest. Now this one I incorporated directly from DX Racer. You wouldn't directly be able to get that from Costco, but this I got, which was another one of their backrests. But I combined it with this bad boy, which again I got from Costco, and the seat cushioner, so therefore helping the long points of keeping this 3D model kind of in it and kind of pushing forward a little bit, this keeping that from getting too much wear and tear. It's kind of taking the median portion of it And that's pretty much all the modifications that I did besides the wheels, which I have coming, which I thought was really great, because if you have hardwood floors, one of my buddies, they got them, and they did really amazingly well. So with that being said, this is the Learn It or Return It segment, a follow-up to the reviews of the unboxing and assemblies that I host, to give a more warm, welcoming, honest review, other than doing it day one, because anyone can do that. And it's their honest one from that perspective of day one, but the reality is time will always have its toll on items. And do you want to spend your time in a return line or learn it now? So thank you very much for spending your time with my network, the MacGyver 7th channel. Have a very nice day. If you're new to the network, you can subscribe. It's absolutely free. Helps me as a creator, and if you do today, who knows, maybe I'll find Littlefoot and we'll search for Sharptooths to convert them to be more mild tooths rather than Sharptooths. But they'll always be Sharptooths because they're Tyrannosauruses. They're gonna want to do that or morph, and then there's a whole new movie with that one because it'll be morphin' time. Anyways, everyone, have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys and gals in the near future. And if you are at your local Costco and you've picked this up, leave your review. What are you thinking of it? Did you have any issues that came into the long point of it? What happened? How did it happen? I'm very curious to hear about the community of people that are out here that are also trying this chair, or curious about any questions past it. I can try to answer for everyone in this review that may have been missed, but I try to cover all the 360 perspective of what would have been inside of a luxurious chair to a mediocre office chair to this chair, and trying to find the full spectrum of an honest review of looking at it and what the function abilities of what it can and can't do and what you can do beyond this chair. So have a very nice day, and see you guys and gals in the near future for more Learn It or Return It reviews.